How's it going, Guardians? Shifty here, and today I've got for you a solo flawless run of the new Grasp of Avarice Dungeon. For this run I'm going to be running a Titan, and as a little gimmick I don't use a single primary weapon throughout the run. So I do want to make this intro brief, and I will be going over my starting loadout in just a moment, but before I do, if you end up enjoying the video, make sure to hit that like button, and if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Alright, so the subclass I chose to run on my Titan is Top Tree Sentinel for the entire run, and my exotic of choice here is Helm of Saint 14. Then for my starting weapons I'm using Wither Horde, Cartesian Coordinate, and Threaded Needle. At various parts of the dungeon I will be swapping out Wither Horde for Ignition Code. I actually won't be swapping out Cartesian Coordinate at all. Then in my heavy slot I'll be swapping Threaded Needle out for Sleeper Simulant during the boss fights, and for the Fallen Shield encounter I will be using Falling Guillotine. As for my armor mods, I'll just quickly show you each piece of armor, and if you need to see anything in more detail, just pause the video. Also for my chest piece I do have double arc damage resistance, but for the Ogre boss fight I do swap that out for double void damage resistance. And that is it for my equipment choices in this particular dungeon. I will be including commentary to give you some tips along the way as well as explain my strategy. With that being said, let's hop right into it. Alright, so this opening encounter is fairly easy with Wither Horde. You're going to want to put Wither Horde in that loot cave. This is going to pretty much take out any enemies that spawn within here. Once you've picked up several Burden of Riches, you're going to want to deposit them in the rock here. Now wait for them to go away, and if enemies stop spawning in the cave, you want to head out of the cave for a little bit. And you'll see more foes come seeking riches. That means more enemies are going to start spawning in the cave, and you can repeat the process with Wither Horde again. In order to complete this intro section of the dungeon, you have to deposit a total of 50 Burdened by Riches. When you do, you can of course move on. Now these platforming sections and these puzzle sections at the beginning of the dungeon were pretty challenging my first run through, but once you learn how to do them, they're pretty easy. Once you get all of this down, you should be able to get to the first boss in under 10 minutes pretty easily. So you saw how I jumped on the desks there. That was to avoid the pressure plate and the spikes. I'm actually going to let this platform drop so I can just drop straight into this room here. Got to backtrack and hop back up here. And when you're looking at these 6 openings here, it's always going to be the back right one. This is a safe pressure plate that opens the trapdoor there. Careful for the false floor on that spot. And during this section I am going to kill a few enemies, but for the most part I'm going to skip the Thrall because they're not too big of a threat. I'm just going to go about activating the necessary levers. You also want to be careful in this area because there are pressure plates, so if you don't know where those are at, make sure that you look around. I'm running pretty quickly and pretty freely because I do know the locations of the pressure plate traps. The Wither Horde there on that Shrieker. And by the time I get over here, that Shrieker's gone. Of course, I just have to make my way to this newly opened door on this side. Don't need to take out all those enemies. Just toss some Wither Horde over on those acolytes and then pull my first lever in this area. Now when you pull those levers, the image above them does change and it basically tells you where to go next. The areas are numbered around here, so you can just take a look around. You can also tell by where the enemies spawn. This section really isn't all that difficult. It's just more lever pulling here, and there aren't even any traps in this area. Now we gotta head back to the other side where we just came from. There's gonna be another wizard, some more enemies, and a few doors that are open. For some reason, I didn't see the wizard right off the bat, like I normally do. And it looks like it was kind of trapped in this room still. And right here, it teleports to the outside. It's not too big of a deal. These enemies aren't much of a threat. Of course, this teaches you one of the mechanics of the dungeon. You're going to be using scorch cannons on these machines throughout the rest of the dungeon. For this particular one, you do have to charge it up pretty much all the way. This is what I call the Indiana Jones staircase because it's trapped. You want to push forward far enough to activate the trap and then get in one of those little holes in the side of the wall. So that slanted floor sometimes messes up my jump. That's why I activated my super, so I could save myself in case it did. It seems a little silly, but I have died plenty of times to it. So now I'm going to swap to Ignition Code and to Sleeper Simulant. I'm also going to swap to my double void damage resistance chest piece. And here we are at the first boss fight. So the general idea for this ogre encounter is we want to get a scorch cannon, we want to open up rooms on the left or right side, head in and kill the hive and get those fake engrams to get the burden by riches debuff. Then we're going to deposit those in the rock right at the entrance of this area. In order to do a boss damage phase, we have to deposit a total of 25. So the scorch cannon is down. Right at the beginning here, I like to clear the area, including these acolytes off to the right-hand side. So right at the beginning, I like to clear out all the enemies, including these acolytes off to the side. And it looks like we do have a thrall spawn, so I'm going to go ahead and use my grenade to take those out. So you can grab the Scorch Cannon from beneath the floor there. I also want to mention you have to start with this left doorway. So I charge it up. I'm going to head in and actually use my super here. The reason being is once I pick up 10 of these Burdened by Riches, I will get my super back as well as all my other abilities. So I want to make sure I'm below 10 while I'm in my super. When I'm out of it, I want to take another enemy out or a couple enemies. And then when I hit 10, I will have full super again. So keep that in mind for this encounter. It's incredibly useful. You can pretty much use your super to clear out the left or right areas. Just make sure you're below 10, and then when your super's up, go ahead and pick up any more Burdened by Riches debuffs. And then you'll get your super back. The reason I refer to it as a debuff is because if the timer runs out, you are going to die. In a way, it's a buff because you can get your abilities back. So, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and deposit them at that rock there. And now I want to repeat the process because I deposited, I think, 13 or 14 there. So I'm going to have to do this one more time, and I'm going to open up the door on the right-hand side this time. First, I want to get myself another Scorch Cannon. Grab that, and I'm going to open up the doors on the right-hand side here. Again, I'm going to go ahead and super here. I'm trying to avoid the knight because it will drop me 3 more of these fake engrams. I'm at 8 right now. I'm going to go ahead and take out this knight. Pick up 3 more, and I have my super. I don't think I need one more, but I am going to go ahead and pick this one up just to be safe. I'm going to activate Defensive Strike on a Thrall. That's going to give me a little bit of a shield to get over to the rock again. There are some Thrall chasing me. I'm going to toss down a grenade. Now it's time to damage the boss. I used my Cartesian Coordinate to activate Particle Deconstruction. And now I'm going to go ahead and use as much sleeper ammo as I can. So I'm going to use this final magazine. I'm not going to reload just for one shot, so I'm going to use Cartesian Coordinate from here on out. And just so you are aware, it is possible to 2-phase this boss with this particular loadout on a Titan. A couple of my attempts, I was able to do a chunk over half of its health in one damage phase. It does get a little bit challenging because you pretty much have to hit all your crits with sleeper, and you have to get several Cartesian Coordinate shots off. So this time I don't have my super, so I'm going to go ahead and grenade launch the big pack of enemies off to the right here. I'm going to take that knight out right away, try to take out some of these enemies. And this is one of those scenarios where charged with light really might come in handy. See, my shields were broken, and now I have resist for 15 seconds. Make sure I pick up as many of the fake engrams as I can. Alright, so here's some Thrall over here. I'm going to go ahead and activate Defensive Strike again. And make my way over to the rock to deposit my Burdened by Riches. And this boss fight is a little bit repetitive. Again, you have to go ahead and do this on the right hand side to get some more fake engrams to deposit. So I have to go ahead and get a Scorch Cannon right away. I will have my super for this right hand side. And all I need is one more to get my super back. There it is. And it is time for a boss damage phase, but I accidentally used my regular super instead of my bubble super there. That was a little bit unfortunate. This kind of ruined my opportunity to go for a 2-phase. I could have done enough damage to get a 2-phase in here, but I'm just going to do some damage to ensure I get it in 3 phases. I should easily be able to take out that chunk of health in 1 phase. So I'm going to go ahead and work on getting another Scorch Cane in here, and then repeating the process as usual. Make sure to pick up any orbs of light so I gain more stacks of charged with light. I'm going to go ahead and activate Defensive Strike there as well. Got a couple fake Ingrams out here. And time to go deposit. I tend to like to use a barricade here. It just offers a little bit more protection from the Ogre boss. So it is of course possible to speed this encounter up. You could always get all of the left fake Ingrams and then come to the right side using the same Scorch Cannon and get all of the right fake Ingrams. And then from there you could deposit all 25 at the same time. I decided to take this a little bit slower because I wanted to guarantee my solo flawless run. So I'm going to go ahead and deposit and start my third boss damage phase. I'm going to bubble right now. I'm going to proc Particle Deconstruction and go in with Sleeper here. And it is going to kind of enrage and charge over here. I don't believe it has any sort of stomp mechanics, so you don't have to worry too much about that. And one more shot should do it, And there it is. The Ogre boss is down. Now, before I head on to the Sparrow encounter, I do want to swap my Heavy out for Gjallarhorn. I forgot to mention that in my intro. But now I'm going to scour the area for some heavy ammo for it. And that should be plenty. Now we're going to move on to the next area, which is the Sparrow encounter. So I kind of have to mentally prepare myself here, but I'm going to go ahead and activate it, immediately pull out my Sparrow, and then shoot off to the right here. There is one of the objects that extends the time over here. I'm going to wrap around to the left here. And if you kind of curve around through this, you oftentimes won't get hit by those dregs. I want to aim off to the left here because there is another time-saving device. And I'm actually going to grab it and then hop off my Sparrow to Gjallarhorn these enemies here. Grab the next mine. Off to the right here, there is another time-saving device for the sea mine. Then heading right through this tunnel, you're going to grab another device, which is automatically going to be grabbed. There's no way to really avoid that one. I'm going to hop off Gjallarhorn the next set. Grab the mine and then head off to the right. Another device for the D mine. And you can go either route here. I like to go the upper route. It's not a huge deal either way. It's more whatever you're comfortable with. So, up here there's another device, and I'm going to hop down onto the mine, and I'm just going to punch these enemies for some defensive strike. And that's it for the Sparrow encounter. In my opinion, this Fallen Shield encounter is probably the easiest one in this entire dungeon outside of the entry. So I swapped to my sword, and I'm swapping to Witherhoard as well as my double arc damage resistance chest armor. I'm going to go ahead and rally flag here. Again, we're going to be using Scorch Cannons to launch ourselves around the area quite a bit. So I got my Scorch Cannon. I want to look around to see which island contains a shielded servitor. And I could kind of see it there, so I'm going to head off to the right. For whatever reason, I had a momentary lapse and couldn't remember where the device was to launch myself. I also had another momentary lapse there because I know you don't have to fully charge it to launch yourself in these. So I know I have to rotate this to the right. That's where the first servitor is. So to take out the white shield on the servitors, you can see there's one of those nifty rocks behind me, and we're going to be collecting more fake engrams from all of these enemies. You need to deposit 20 of them in order to de-shield the servitor. So I should have enough on me to de-shield the servitor. I've already deposited some, of course. And there it is. I'm going to go ahead and sword the servitor. And when it's down, we're of course going to want to launch this dead servitor right at that big object in the middle. You can see the things that we want to aim at. In order to do that, I need the Scorch Cannon. And I already knew it was aimed right at the bomb since I haven't rotated this one yet. So now I'm looking around for the next island with a servitor, and I see it right over there. So I'm going to, of course, have to launch myself in that direction. I can't launch myself directly there, so I'm going to have to visit a few other islands before that. Still going to be launching myself to the right here. And we have one more rotation. Even in a team, you can only work on one servitor at a time. I think it would be nice if you could work on multiple of them at a time in a team setting. With a team of 3, it would significantly improve the speed of this encounter. Grab those for some charges of light. Get to depositing some of these. Activate defensive strike. Get more charges of light. And this should be enough to deactivate the shield on the servitor. Make sure I get rid of any extra burden by riches. That way I don't end up dying later on. And I want to push the servitor on over to the cannon here. Kind of standing here to make sure it doesn't fall off the map. I don't want to have to repeat this again on another island. Grab myself another Scorch Cannon. And the cannon is already aligned to shoot at the bomb. I'm just double checking that here. Alright, 2 down, 2 to go. And I immediately found the next servitor up to my left here. I took out the Scorch Cannon Vandal because it was kind of harassing me there. So more enemies aren't spawning. That means there's going to be some enemies hiding down somewhere. I believe they're down the staircase here. They didn't really want to push up. So I'll go to them. Might as well go ahead and bubble here. Not going to need it for anything else during this encounter, so I might as well use it, I guess. Alright, I do want to clear some of these enemies out before I go ahead and push the servitor down. Now we have just one more to go. And there's the next servitor. So I'm going to kind of shoot myself to the left a few times. Alright, so we do want to get this aimed at the correct location. That should be right. And here is our final servitor to launch. And now the shield has been brought down, we need to head to that middle island over there. The launcher is already set to launch us over there. I'm going to use this cannon to launch myself up. Now I'm going to make my way to the boss arena. So I swapped my Wither Horde for Ignition Code, and I swapped my Threaded Needle out for Sleeper Simulant. So as you can see, I'm back to rocking Ignition Code, Cartesian Coordinate, and Sleeper Simulant. So I threw a grenade there to try to weaken the 2 mini-bosses that spawn. So for this boss fight, I generally try to take out the 2 mini-bosses in the middle first. This is so they don't harass me throughout the entire fight. A bubble with particle deconstruction and Sleeper Simulant is enough to quickly take out the Shank. Now I kind of want to go for the invisible enemy here. There is a Vandal with a Scorch Cannon around here somewhere. Just want to be aware of that. I think it's jumping off to the left there. So that's going to be used to get some more of those fake Ingrams later. But again, I want to focus on these 2 mini-bosses first. Alright, so I am using quite a bit of ammo here on this second mini-boss. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the Scorch Cannon here and use this instead. And to use this, I'm just going to hop up on here and look around for that second mini-boss. I'm going to charge it up to get the most amount of damage on a shot. If this Scorch Cannon does run out of ammo, I should be fine because another Vandal with one will spawn. Alright, I am getting close now. So I went ahead and wasted that last shot to ensure that one of the Scorch Cannon Vandals does spawn. So for the dregs in this area, I will be using my melee quite a bit. Primarily for defensive strike, and when defensive strike is active, you can one-shot melee the dregs, just like that. So now that the 2 mini-bosses are down in the middle, my next goal is to start collecting fake Ingrams. To do that, I'm going to need another Scorch Cannon. So in order to move on to the boss damage phase, we're going to need 60 of those fake Ingrams. Then we need to deposit those into the center of the boss arena. So there are a couple of ways to do this. You can get all 60 at once, or you can do them in batches of like 15 to 20. So once you have a Scorch Cannon, you can either head off to the left, right, or middle. I'm going to use this left-hand side here. First, I want to try to clear out some of these dregs. Again, I'm going to be meleeing several of the dregs. So you can see these devices on the sides of the boss arena there. I'm going to get a Scorch Cannon shot in there. You do have to charge these up all the way. And This is going to drop those fake engrams all around the arena. As you can see, there's some right here. I'm going to go ahead and grab those. Grab these as well. You have to be careful for the dregs. So you of course want to just wrap around the arena trying to grab as many of these as you can. I ended up getting 20 here, but my protective light got procced, so I wanted to be careful. So at this point you could use that Scorch Cannon to the device on this side of the room to drop more of the fake engrams, or you can just go ahead and deposit them in the center. I chose to go ahead and deposit them this time, and I almost ran out of time, but as I got near the rock here, it does end up pausing. And you have to be careful for the enemies around the arena. Unfortunately, I did not have a barricade to put up there to protect myself this time. I'm going to try to farm more charges of light here. And now I am going to have to take out another Scorch Cannon Vandal. Got another dreg spawn here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the Scorch Cannon. And this time I'm going to go for the device on this side of the room. Charge it up and make sure I get some more engrams to drop. Probably should have just kept going instead of turning around to grab those two. So you do have to be careful in this arena because the kill box down by the water isn't very forgiving. So just make sure you stay far away from the water edges down by those other dregs in the middle. So here I have 19 burdened by riches. I've deposited 20 already. Getting low on time, but I do have a barricade this time. I'm going to put that up for my own protection. And that deposit is done. Now I'm going to repeat the process and get another Scorch Cannon and get some more fake engrams. So I got my Scorch Cannon there. Max out my charges of light. I'm going to take this dreg out and then I think I'm ready to go for some more fake engrams. I'm going to try to make this one my last deposit, so I need at least 21 of them. Since I only need one shot, I decided to go ahead and waste some of the Scorch Cannon taking out those dregs. Alright, the engrams are dropping. Use my Scorch Cannon here on these dregs as well. And I need 2 more, and that was perfect. Taking these dregs out here will only offer me more protection while I'm depositing. I'm going to head to the middle and go for my last deposit before my first boss damage phase. Place my barricade for my own protection. And immediately when it starts here, I'm going to pop my bubble. I'm going to peek out the side here. So I procced Particle Deconstruction with Cartesian Coordinate. Now I'm going to go to town with Sleeper Simulant. I'm going to use the 3 full magazines, and then I'm going to swap to my Cartesian coordinate to do the rest of the damage that I can. I do want to say that I think this boss is a potential 2-phase with a Bubble Titan, but you have to be absolutely on time with all of your shots. As you can see during that damage phase, I kind of messed up right at the beginning and right at the end. If I would have had my shots on more perfectly there, I probably would have been able to do a little bit more damage and gotten the boss below half health. So now we're going to repeat the process. I'm going to worry about taking out the 2 mini bosses in the middle, and then I'm going to go for the fake engrams. Since I don't have my super this time and I don't have much for heavy ammo, I'm going to go ahead and use the Scorch Cannon on the Shank. This will be a bit of a tedious process, but you should be able to get it done. Unfortunately, the Scorch Cannon Vandals keep falling off the arena. They will reappear eventually, but it's not super predictable. I could probably use some sleeper shots here, but I really don't want to risk it for the next boss damage phase. Special ammo is a little bit easier to come by, so I'm going to go ahead and use some of that. Alright, so the first mini boss is down, and now the second Scorched Vandal has reappeared. I quite frankly just used a sleeper shot on it so it wouldn't fall off the map again. And the Destiny 2 auto ammo pickup mechanic still works when you're only using special and heavy weapons. Now that primary weapons have infinite ammo, it no longer works if you have a primary weapon equipped. If you do go back and take a look at the moment I picked up the Scorch Cannon, you will see that the game auto gave me some of the ammo that was lying on the ground. So now we just go through the tedious process of taking out the second mini boss again. Now that the second mini boss is down, I want to go ahead and find another Scorch Cannon. Unfortunately, the Vandal kind of fell off the map and disappeared there. But now that the two mini bosses are down, I'm free to kind of rotate around. The dregs aren't much of a threat, and you can pretty easily avoid the boss attacks. So the Scorch Cannon is down there right behind the boss. And then kind of sneak around here and grab that. And I'm going to go ahead and grab this special ammo over here as well. I'm going to use a few shots here to take out a couple dregs. And it's time to start getting those fake engrams. So I still have my resist from protective light active, and I have defensive strike. And it really helps out my survivability in the arena. This time I only got 18 burdened by riches. Time to get out of here now and repeat that process. You always want to be on the lookout for any dreg spawns as well as Scorch Cannon Vandals. So there's no sense in wasting time, we might as well go for the next set of engrams. Fortunately, I only got 3 from that first set. And this was not a very good grab. It looks like I'm only going to get the 16. Yep, the rest exploded. Oh, no sense in waiting. I might as well go ahead and deposit these. Don't get too stressed out if you can't make the deposits in about 3 runs. It's better to take your time and survive than rush things and die. I probably would have benefited from doing multiple runs of engrams this time around. This should be the last batch of engrams I need, but I want to take out these dregs first. Gonna head down here to grab just a few more. I'm gonna make my way to the center for a deposit. And this should get us into the second boss damage phase. There it is. I have particle deconstruction active. And I do have some dregs off to the right that are shooting at me. And I'm definitely going to need a third damage phase here. Alright, time to get to work on this third damage phase here. It's of course going to be basically the exact same as the first and second one. Looks like I have plenty of heavy ammo lying around, so I'm going to go ahead and use some of it on the Shank mini-boss first. Again, the Shank is pretty easy with Sleeper Simulant. Now where's the invisible guy? I'm going to use the last two sleeper shots that I have on that. That actually went pretty well. Since I am running low on ammo right now, I am going to go ahead and finish off the second mini-boss here with the Scorch Cannon again. And there it is, the second mini boss is down. I'm going to hang on to the Scorch Cannon so I can go right for some engrams. Alright, let's get this first batch of engrams. We got some dregs spawning. So that was a much better run than previous engram runs. I got 24 in one run. So now all I need is 36 more in order to enter the third boss damage phase. So I need to wait for another Scorch Cannon here. And then I'm going to try to get all 36 between 2 engram runs. I'm going to try to get all of them before I end up depositing. Here's our Scorch Cannon Vandal. Another dreg spawn. I'm going to try to get some charges of light here. And I'm maxed out. Grab my Scorch Cannon for the first engram run. So here I'm starting a second engram run without depositing. Remember, I need 36 in order to enter the boss damage phase. Currently sitting at 30. And we got 37, which is just enough. It's one more than we needed. I'm going to go ahead and bubble a little bit early since I won't need the full duration and there's several enemies shooting at me. And here we are with the final boss damage phase. Just a couple sleeper shots and it should be down. And there we are. That was a solo flawless completion of the Grasp of Avarice Dungeon on a Titan. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and if you did, remember to like and subscribe. I just want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.